So next we're gonna get into some of the inventions during the Industrial Revolution. Um, a lot of this slide's gonna be a little bit repetitive, but when people created textiles, right, they were using their hands, and it was a difficult and time-consuming process. If you had to go through each piece of material, each piece of textile by yourself, or just a few people, right, you're not going to get a lot done. And people would have to weave and stretch by their own hands in their own homes. So there wasn't really much of an industry for this yet. But then something called the power loom is invented, and I made a little bit of a rhyme here. With the invention of the power loom, the textile industry began to boom. So that was before the Industrial Revolution, and then textiles during the Industrial Revolution. You have, like I said, a lot of different technologies invented by this time that do very similar things. You have the water frame, the spinning jenny, the spinning mule, the power loom. All of these things weave, they put things together, pull things apart. Very similar machines, but they all come out very closely one after another, right? There's always people trying to take one invention, improve it, make it better, right? Because a lot of these things are primitive mechanical technology, always something to improve on, right? So all these different things come around 1765. They're very similar, but you can see with all these different options, all these different machineries, you are allowed to jump ahead, right? You're allowed to start mass producing things. Things get easier. Again, steam power and pig iron and smelting, these help to power these new machines, right? So not only are you getting new machines, but you're also having all of these new resources that you're able to use, right? No more wood, no more crap iron, no more crappy uses of energy, right? You are allowed to focus on things that are efficient and effective. This helps the British economy boom, and then eventually you actually see cotton and spinning mills pop up, right? Like I said, there wasn't any industry for textiles for any of this before, but now with these machines and a new demand for clothing textiles, there's an increase on things that come before, right? So cotton, right? You have to have cotton farmers now, right? You need to get more cotton seeds. You need to be able to pull them apart and get the cotton material out from them, right? So these cotton mills are set up to do exactly that. And once this cotton is mass produced from these cotton mills, they're sent off to a spinning mill so they can be spun into actual cotton like threads, and then they go on to a textile industry, and it becomes a huge economic boom because all of these jobs are created. Here's an example of the water frame done by Richard Arkwright in 1768. Here is a spinning jenny by James Hargreaves in 1764. You can see very similar machines here. And then you have the spinning mule in 1779 by Samuel Crompton. So all three of these, the water frame, the spinning jenny, and the spinning mule, very similar. They would stretch out textiles, they would weave textiles together, so they're very similar machines, and they all look alike too. There's an old spinning mule in motion for you to look at. So textiles now, obviously, machines have developed quite a bit, but we still have mass production of clothing, right? Clothing is important. Look at how all these brands exist, right? You can get, man, what was that? Kanye West had a white t-shirt line, and those white t-shirts went for $80 or $90 or something ridiculous like that, right? So you have textiles that are huge today, right? Still use cotton, right? Everything's made out of cotton, basically, with their clothes. And there are still tons and tons of factories and production around the world developed and focused on these fabric and clothes that we wear, right? So it's obviously still today massive. There's another picture of a power loom, very similar to what we just saw. another YouTube video for you in motion. The cotton gin, so this would have taken the cotton seeds and been able to take the cotton out of them, so that would have been in cotton mills. So all these different machines that are very similar to each other, helping to mass produce clothes and textiles. Just again, another video of seeing it in process. And then we get to machine tools. So there are more than just these machines being built, right? You have screws being invented. You have rotary cutters. You have sharpers. You have planers. You have all of these things that make metal parts more obtainable, right? So if you have something that breaks down, you can easily replace it, right? So that helps as well, right? If you were in the farm, for example, and just had a scythe and it broke, right? You'd be pretty screwed, right? That was your only scythe. It was hard to get that, but now with all these machine tools, you can easily replace it, right? Just like today, right? Something screws up, you go to the store, you get it done, boom, 30-minute process, right? You don't miss any work, you don't miss any production, nothing goes awry. Whereas if something screwed up during this time, it's going to hurt you for a bit, right? And again, something that's really important that comes out of these machine tools is that they create interchangeable parts, right? You, like I said, you're not just reliant on one thing. You actually have these parts that can be interchangeable, easily produced. It just makes life a lot easier. So there would have been a machine that would have made screws. There is a big milling machine now. Metal working by hand if you're interested. And then, excuse me, we get to chemicals. And there's a lot of different chemicals that help during this time. So sulfuric acid comes about, right? That helps remove rust, kind of acts as a bleach sometimes. You have sodium carbonate, which helps to remove grease. You have limestone that's used as building blocks, not only in buildings, but you can use it as materials in other things as well. You have potash, which is huge today, right? Saskatchewan is a potash industry. And then you have cement that is invented to help with roads and sidewalks and stuff like that. So not only are we seeing an increase in machine work, but we're getting an increase in daily life too, right? With farming and walking and roads and all of that stuff. Even stuff like cosmetics with removing rust or getting oil or grease off those new textiles. Steam power, also important. 1712 is when we get an engine that uses steam. About 70, 60 years later, we have two guys named James Watt and Matthew Boulton who team up to actually create a steam engine, right? So Thomas Newcomen was the one who invented the idea, but James Watt, Matthew Boulton actually invented it and put it to use. And one advantage was that you could place steam power wherever you wanted, right? With water energy, you would need a source of water, basically a moving source of water, right? A river or ocean lake or something, in order to use water power. Where steam power, you don't need that, right? You can place a steam engine anywhere and be able to successfully use it. So steam power helped out a lot too. This leads to, in 1813, the first train being created or invented, right? So that uses steam power as well. So all of these things, right? The locomotive makes travel easier. So you just see all of these things that perhaps we take for granted: clothes, fertilizer, transportation, really start to come out during this time. A YouTube link there for steam power if you're interested. A couple miscellaneous inventions that aren't really worth talking too much about, but just kind of highlighting. You finally have gas lighting, so lighting becomes a lot easier other than candles, glass, paper. You have a plow, so you don't have to do that by hand anymore in the field. Canals, which help direct water, right? You have railways, you have the sewing machine. So a lot of these things help to just even develop basic life and the standard of living for a normal person and increasing that. There are the miscellaneous dates with, the miscellaneous inventions with dates there. This you could use, you could see or guess where these were invented, and some of these dates might surprise you about the order. Yeah, so then we're going to get into the 7 wonders of the Industrial Revolution.